Hey, how's everybody doing this morning?
Wonderful. How are you?
Right.
Great. Chad, did you have to plug in your truck this morning?
No, but standing in the garage, when I open the garage door, my garage is super insulated and everything else, and like it's not so bad. Then I open the door, but it's definitely a coat day here. So a couple of housekeeping things. I know I sent an email out to a lot of you guys. I know there's a lot of people that didn't get that email. A couple new requirements coming in on leasing equipment. So if we're doing a lease, everybody knows if you're signing up, the lease paperwork's built into the MPA itself. Always make sure you've got the newest merchant processing agreement, which if you go onto the site and pull it off every time, you're always going to have the newest one. The new requirements are the things that affect us. We can no longer take truncated Social Security numbers or federal tax IDs. So that I don't think we've had too much of a problem with. The two items we have had a bigger problem with is we can no longer accept starter checks. So if they don't have checks yet, make sure to get a bank letter. And this is a new requirement, but anytime we're leasing a terminal, we need to get either a U.S. government or state ID. So if you're doing a lease, expect to get a copy of a driver's license or snap a picture of it. Otherwise, what's happened, and there's been a couple of people I know that since the requirement went in, everything's up and running, the terminal's out there, but the lease has not been funded because we don't have a copy of that yet. So the lease company will not release those proceeds until we get it. So if you want to get paid and you're doing a lease, make sure you get it up front. And do we have Chuck on the call yet?
I am. So
well, I think I got the house cleaning stuff taken care of, and I'll let us get on to our Monday morning call.
Monday morning, excellent. Good morning, everybody. How are we all doing today?
Great.
Awesome. Thank you for
Peachy.
coming. I appreciate that. Peachy keen, huh? That's good. Peachy's good. You know, every Monday we try to cover new topics, obviously, and it's a lot of times we're going to come back and talk about things we've talked about before. I think there's certain things in sales that we forget to we forget. And when we see what's going on out there and we see what a lot of people are struggling with, and I think the biggest thing, and let me ask you guys, what do you think the biggest part, when you look at the sales process, what do you think 99% of sales is based on?
Relationship. Their trust.
Relationship, trust, rapport, and it's interesting when you're working, especially with newer folks, when they get into this industry, and there's a lot to learn in this industry. I completely get that, and it's hard to remember that the most important part of this is the relationship rapport. When you're trying to figure out, well, what do I say when they ask me this question, and how do I handle this, and so we wanted to talk about relationship and rapport. And I know a few weeks ago we had a little joke that we passed around, a little trick, pick the number between 2 and 8, and if you get an orange kangaroo from Denmark, you follow the 90%. Nothing works 100% of the time, but with rapport, you're going to close twice the business that you've closed, I think, in selling by price. Because if you sell by price, you die by price. And one of the things that I would really recommend with everybody is make sure that when you go into the sales process, you have a well-orchestrated series of questions to ask. And I remember when we used to have a gal that worked for us years ago, and when I was selling directly to merchants then, I probably sold 90% of my business over the phone. I didn't go out and see the merchant. I just sold over the phone. And I remember when I hung up one day on a phone call, she said, "Gosh," she says, "I can say what you say now." And I says, "What do you mean by that?" And she goes, "You say the exact same thing every call." And she goes, and I says, "Well, why do you think I did? Why do you think I do that?" And she said, well, because it works. And just kind of an example, one of the things that, I'd be on the phone, I'd say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Merchant, how's it going today? And they say, great. I'd say, are you working hard or are you hardly working? And they'd always laugh and they go, oh, I'm working hard. And I was watching her as I was on my phone calls because we had a real small office and she was right next to me. And she'd be mouthing the words as I was saying them and kind of laughing because it works. In the process of building good rapport means that you have to have really good transitional statements or transition questions. Because if you run in and go, okay, I have these things that I want to say, so I'm just waiting for the merchant to quit talking so I can say what I want to say, you're not transitioning very well. You guys ever run across someone that it's like almost when you talk to them, what they respond with is just a little bit off from what you just said? Have you ever experienced that before? Because they're just waiting for you to quit making noise so they can say what they want to say. That's it. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
They're not listening to you.
Yeah, they're not listening. And you know what, my father, I'm gonna to air my laundry, my dad. I was talking to my dad last night. He goes, "How's it going?" And I go, "Great. How you doing?" He goes, "Great. And I went, "Okay, so we're in a not listening mode today." and I'm describing a situation to him, and he goes, yep. Hey, anyway, blah 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 blah. And I go, you know what? It's like work for the person who does listen. So it's make sure that because the best way to build rapport with someone is by listening to them. People want to be heard. So you need to ask them questions to elicit conversation from them. And the very best question I've ever seen in the sales process, and I don't care if it's B2B sales or and business to business, the question is, hey, whatever made you get into this business? That is the golden question. Whatever made you decide to become a dentist? And listen to the story. This is the transitional piece that I'm talking about. I go, whatever made you decide to become a dentist? And they go, oh, I come a full line. My dad was a dentist. My father, his dad was a dentist, and I really just appreciate that. And people go, oh, okay. So anyway, what we can do for you is this. That's like a really piss poor transition. So you got to have a little transition piece there. Go, wow. So really, you were destined to become a dentist. You had to be one, right? Because your dad, your grandfather was one. Wow, coming from that history, I'm sure whatever. And they go, oh yeah. If I wasn't a dentist, and I says, you'd probably been, ostracized from the family, then wouldn't you have been? Oh, ha. Yeah, I would. And I says, well, that's great, man. I'll tell you what. And then I get then I can get more into the business mode. But I was listening to an agent the other day, and that was exactly how the conversation went. The merchant was talking, and they go, oh, okay, great. Well, anyway, and they go right into what they wanted to say. You must transition. Well, does that concept make sense? It's really hard to articulate and describe that to folks, but does that make sense on the rapport relationship side?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm hearing this a lot from our agents recently, and I don't know if it's just like something in the air or what it is. But when you're on the phone with them, they're like forgetting. They're making it about price, and if you sell by price, you die by price. In a conversation we had with the agent directors this morning, is one of the agent directors came to me and she goes, "How do I get around this? Here's the situation I'm in right now." And I said, "I don't know." And I got kind of a blank stare for a second. She says, what do you mean you don't know? And I said, because I don't sell that way. And let's think about price for a second. Price is obviously important, right? And we go in there and we say we're going to get them something better than what they have today. That's how we get there. But what I would work on, if you really want to hit a pinnacle level in this industry and really work on building a lot of profitability on the back end of your deal, is I wouldn't even talk price with the merchant until they've said that they're going to move forward with me. And I know that's counterintuitive for a lot of people. But what I'd like everyone to do, and it's the way I try to sell it, is I close them before I give them numbers. And what I recommend doing is when I go in there, I want to build such good rapport. Hey, whatever made you get into this? You're kidding. Oh, okay, great. I'm building rapport. I'm talking about your fishing trip. I know everything about you. I know everything about your business. I know so much about your business that I could tomorrow start a business doing the exact same thing because I've asked you so many questions about your business because people love talking about their business. How'd you get into it? How do you get your new customers in? I mean, how do people know to come to you that you're a dentist? What have you done? How did you grow? Know everything about it. And then what we got to do is transition out of that. So how I transition out of that, I go, man, I says, you know what? I love hearing your story. There's so many parallels to your story, to how I got started in this industry and really getting out there. And it sounds like we'd work really well together. Let me ask you, as long as I put the numbers where they need to be, can we move forward? I mean, are we ready to move on this? And if you've done that rapport and you've done that relationship building and you know everything about their business and you've asked really good questions and listened to what they've said, they're going to go, oh, heck yeah, just, hey, as long as you save me some money, I think we're good. As long as you save me money, we'll move on this deal. Don't wait for the numbers to sell it. I want your relationship to sell it. I want them to go, oh, yeah, as long as the numbers are there, Chuck, or Cam or Tom or Bill, whomever you are, yeah, we're moving forward. Because if you make it so much on the number, then you're actually cheapening your relationship with them. Does that stuff make sense? Can you see how that would put a different spin on your relationship with the client? You know about them personally. You know all about their business. You want to be super inquisitive. I go, man, so whatever made you decide to sell Patagonia instead of Columbia? I don't know. Whatever the business is, how'd you ever get into logistics company? How'd you ever get into trucking? Did you drive truck too then? Oh, no. So what, did you do like long haul or just like day trips, or what did you do? Learn everything you can about that business. Because once you learn everything about their business, you've got them. Because they feel in their mind, whether it's a conscious or subconscious thing, they go, this person knows so much about me and my business. This is the person that's going to service me properly. Granted, I'm going to initiate conversation by giving them something to pique their interest, which is, hey, if I can get you a better deal, I'm sure that would help you out, wouldn't it? And they go, oh, yeah, absolutely, that would help me out. And go, great, I can definitely do that. And sometimes you might even go, well, just give me a copy of your last 2 months' merchant statements, and I'll get them over to my underwriter, and they give you the merchant statements. And sometimes right there you go into super question mode. You go, hey, I just care, whatever made you get into this business? Because then when you have the statements in your hand, all the pressure's off because you have the opportunity to move forward now. So if you make a point, when you leave, if you know these things, I know where they grew up, I know what transpired to get them into this business, and I know the story on how they started it and how they grew their business to this point. If I know those four key little things, if I know that about them, and then hopefully you're asking them some other little questions along the way, like, oh, no kidding. So what did you do in that situation? Did you just get a marketing person, or did you, how did you get around that? And if you elicit those stories from them and you get them to talk about their life up to this point, especially in that business, and you have the statements in your hand, you can't lose. Then you can close them, tie them down right there, go, man, I love your story. That is phenomenal. Good for you. Came from nothing and you were able to grow this business, and you really have a beautiful story here. This is great. Hey, let me ask you, I'll get a hold of the underwriters today, and, we can move forward right away. I'm just going to get you, we need to put a little more money back in your business, right? Oh, yeah. Hey, just save me some money and we can do this deal. But you must know everything you possibly can about their business. It might take you 30 minutes longer in the sales process, but if that extra 30 minutes of talking about them and their business, all about their business, you know everything about it, you could start a business just like it tomorrow. If knowing that, is that extra 30 minutes worth it to close 30, 40, 50% more business?
Sure.
Yeah. Know everything about their business. And sometimes they're not real willing to disclose some things. So you got to kind of dig in a little bit. But get away from the price of it. It's not a pricing thing. We're going to come in better. We're going to get them something better, and better's not necessarily cheaper. We're going to bring more value than their current company's bringing them. Because think about this. Does everybody here have a cell phone?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, we do. Okay. Does everybody here have a checking account?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. How much for 90% of the people on this call, how much does your banker know about you?
Nothing.
Nothing. So you don't really so you don't really care much about your banker, do you? I mean, you do because you care for mankind. You care for the human race. So sure, you're going to care about this person. But okay, so you're doing business with someone that really there's no loyalty there with your banker because they don't know anything about you. You just went in and said, hey, I need a checking account. And they go, okay, no problem. Fill out this paperwork, blah, blah, blah. Most of the time they go, oh, no kidding. Well, tell me about you. Are you new to the area? Wow, we're getting some reverb. Why'd you come into ABC Bank today? Oh, no kidding. Yeah, we'd love to help you out. What kind of work do you do? Oh, no kidding. Oh, you're an independent agent for credit card processing. Oh, that's great. Yeah, they don't do that. So there's no allegiance or loyalty in your minds to your banker. Don't be your banker. Don't be your banker. Don't be the person that sold you the cell phone. You don't even know the person that sold you. Probably couldn't remember the first name of the person who sold you your cell phone. So you can't be that because you can see how you're feeling about your banker, the person that sold you the cell phone service or whatever service or quote-unquote relationship you have with them. There's no depth to it. So you want to be different, right? Different means, well, different can mean a lot of things. But, if you're different than everyone else, you're going to stand out. And you will stand out if you bring this rapport, this relationship, you know all about them. They can't help if people are talking about themselves and they're talking to you for 20 minutes, 30 minutes about themselves and their business. They can't help it. Human nature dictates, because they're human, it dictates that they feel like they know you. Because they've shared with you. They may know nothing about you except your first and last name or maybe just your first name. But they can't help it because they've spent the last 30 minutes telling you their story. So get their story. If you are a rock star rapport builder, the numbers don't matter as much. If you're bad at building rapport or you need to work on that or fine-tune that kind of stuff, because it's hard sometimes because you ever try to build rapport with someone that if you weren't in a sales situation, you could care less about having a rapport with them because they just don't jive with your personality? You ever deal with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like work. But that's what it is. It's work. It's like, yeah, this guy's kind of a goofy turd. I wouldn't be friends with him in any other situation or spend the time building rapport, but I've got to suck it up and forget about how I feel, and I need to get in tune to how this guy's feeling. Because once I get into tune on how he's feeling and hear his horrible stories or whatever they are, I'm going to end up with a sale, and you know what, maybe that will cultivate into a different relationship later, but I'm going to end up with a sale out of the deal. I know it's a conceptual kind of thing. I get that, and it's kind of hard to articulate it. And I think we've all had experiences like, again, your banker, or we've had experiences with other people that were trying to sell you, and they didn't even ask you any questions. So take those experiences and channel them into your deal and go, look, I don't want to be that kind of salesperson. I want to be a rock star rapport builder. And there's all kinds of stuff you can do to learn how to build rapport, but the best way is practice it with the person at the checkout store, at the grocery store. Hey, how you doing today? Are you working hard or hardly working? I thank you for coming in early. I know I'm in here Sunday morning at 7 o'clock. Not everybody's here to help me out when I'm checking out the grocery line, so I appreciate you being here. And you just say something like that to somebody, you're in. You'll get phenomenal service. People will take care of you, and then that will channel into your sales world. That they'll feel that coming from you, they go, God, this person's really warm. Wow, I can't not do business with this person. Any questions on rapport stuff? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what? And I appreciate. I'm one of these guys. If I'm in an elevator with
Hello?
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Hello?
Yeah. Chuck,
Hello?
the elevator doors just closed. Apparently, you lost connection.
Still the third.
This is John Eliason. I'm not sure where exactly he was going with that, but it is interesting when people the way most folks build rapport is we buy all kinds of things here, and I know you buy all kinds of things in your life, and people come in and they go, hey, how about those Vikings? And you go, oh, the Vikings, and granted, I'm a football fan, but let's say they don't know that. They seem to always start with things that they think maybe you're interested in, and it's almost like they're trying to be a psychic. It's so much easier to build a rapport and a relationship when you start asking them, like Chuck was saying, hey, how'd you get into this business? This is really cool. How'd you end up here? And they start talking, and then they just warm up, and it's probably the best way to build rapport and a relationship. And when I first started selling Visa, MasterCard, I didn't feel very confident in my sales ability. And so what I found is that the best way, I ended up writing a lot of business, but it wasn't because I was any good at sales. I was just good at building relationships, building rapport. And it was like, man, I was just naturally curious, I guess. And so that curiosity was a helpful thing, and I learned about their business, and I was truly interested. And so we'd talk like for half an hour, and like, wow, you know what, what we should probably do is get you a better, I came here to get you a better deal than you've got now. We should probably do that, shouldn't we? And they go, yeah. And I go, okay, well, what do you got going, And then they already like me, and so almost like doing businesses, oddly, it's almost secondary. And a lot of people get into sales, and they think, I'm going to get into sales, I'm going to make a lot of money. But it's like, if you get into it, and that's right, because you can make a lot of money doing it. But if you do it in a way that's fun, it's just a hell of a lot better, and you end up making a hell of a lot more money, just because you enjoy what you're doing and that comes through. So, we can probably. Is that Chuck back?
Yeah, sorry about that. But
we figured that you were transitioning into the elevator. The doors. You ever lose connection in an elevator? You go, son of a.
I do. I have.
Yeah. We figured that's what happened to you.
Do you ever like sit in a waiting room with someone and maybe this is just me, I don't know, but like you're in an elevator or you're in a waiting room or you're sitting right next to someone and it's like I'm uncomfortable if I don't like say a comment. I got to go. I go, gee, whatever it is. I always think I can't help but like say something. I just can't just stand there. And I think when I hop back on, John was talking about just being naturally a curious person about how things work, and even if you're not really and you don't really care, I think in sales you got to kind of, if you've chosen to go this profession, you need to act like you care. And it's like if you ever had any experience like having little kids around you who everything's new to them. They're full of like a bazillion questions, and you love that, because it's new. It's a brand new thing, and I think that's almost kind of the mindset that you need to have when you go in with someone when you're meeting them. Even though if you're not, you got to act like it. You've got to be curious, just naturally curious. Like, well, how does that work? Man, this is a great idea. How does it work? And I know we're probably belaboring a little bit, but I can't help it. It's so important to do this. And then at first, if you're not built that way naturally, because John and I are kind of built that way naturally, we're just, we're full of questions. I know we've been told we're full of something else too, and we might be, but we're full of questions. And it's not questions, exactly. But it might be uncomfortable or seem unnatural in the beginning, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes, and it just becomes part of you. And the next thing you know, it is a lot less of a struggle to learn how to do that than it is to close 1 out of 5 deals. Because learn how to do that and close 3 out of 5 instead of doing it by the numbers and closing 1 out of 5. That's too hard work. That's too much harder work doing it that way. So anyway, but so work on that. I think that's a general thing that everybody should work on. And there's some guys that do it, and some guys, men and women, who do it extremely well, and there's some people who struggle with it. So, but build that in. Please build in the rapport piece. If nothing else, they're going to go, wow, you know what, they couldn't quite, maybe the numbers didn't make sense, or I just didn't quite buy on it, but boy, I really like that person. You want them to feel that, because they'll come back. They'll circle around, and you'll have another opportunity with them. And if you've built that rapport and relationship, you know, they won't, and I've had this happen time and time again, where I've gotten into a competitive situation. It's me and 3 other guys, and I didn't win. But I built the best rapport. I still didn't win, even though I built the best rapport. But next time around, when they're looking, there's no one else they're looking at, because they finally went, you know what, I've jumped around, didn't find anyone I liked, but I really liked this guy. I should have gone with him the first time. I learned from my mistake. I'm going to go with him this time. So understand that's, you know what, this is a long-term sport. This is it. This is not a sprint. It's a quick marathon. You know, you just keep grinding away on it. Does all that stuff make sense? Is it helpful?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right, any bottlenecks, any other things? You know, if there's questions about this, great. If not, that's fine too. This is an opportunity to maybe some things that you're struggling with, or little case study problems that you're dealing with. What's going on out there? You guys have any things that are bottlenecking you?
Chuck, that's all.
Yeah.
That's all
Go
great, but get to the point of building the rapport with them, when sometimes you can barely get your foot in the door.
Right. Yeah. You know, this is where it's kind of like people run 2 ways. People either run open or they run closed. That's how people run, and I know that I've got to run my way, you know, and I know when I barely get in the door, I still fight for that rapport. And my thing is, I've always tried, levity's always worked for me. Is, you know, I kind of size up a person by how their mannerisms are, and how they're making eye contact, and how I'm talking with them. I always try to elicit some sort of crack a smile, something. I try to, because once you break that a little bit, they're going to loosen up. And sometimes it's all business until I get the statements in my hand, and then I force the rapport issue because I'm asking questions. And it's timing's different with everybody. Some people, like, you know, it's funny, like in Japan, the culture is if you want to close a deal, you're going to spend 12 hours with them to build rapport to close a deal. That's just that's that culture. You know, so there's cultural things that are different. Everybody's different. But you must build rapport. And if all they want from me is a number, there's a lot of deals that I never gave them numbers. If they didn't allow me to build rapport, I didn't want to go through the heartache. I go, well, you know what? Hey, when you're ready, you know, let me know. I mean, I think we'd be a good team working together. Look, for however long you accept credit cards, I want to be your guy. Just let me know when you're ready. And it's called the takeaway, right? And then they go, oh, well, you know, I really want numbers. And then I force them to build rapport. If you want numbers from me, then you got to build rapport with me.
You're
you got to weigh it.
Right?
What's that?
Or go to heck.
Yeah, you're kind of cutting out, but yeah, you're going to talk to me. You know, but what you'll find is if you ask good, solid questions, not BS questions. I mean, questions with substance, questions with depth about their business and how they got in there. You know, the tone initially might feel a little like kind of dry and real professional or PC, if you will. But what you'll find is when they're responding to you and they're talking to you, you got to look for toeholds for the next question and build on that. And then what you'll find 90% of the time is they open up. Because just because they're closed in the beginning, people are skeptics. They're going to be closed. That's how people operate. And they have to today. We all have to be somewhat skeptical, don't we? I mean,
Pretty much.
You can't be like fresh out of the country in the big city and just be wide open, or you're going to get your, you know, somebody's going to eat your lunch for you. So they're supposed to be skeptical. But how you get around that skepticism is you have to be different than every other person they're talking to. You've got to shine above. And the easiest way to do that is just by asking good questions, because no one cares. No one asks questions, and I don't say no one, but when I say that, 90% of the salespeople that you're going head-to-head with, they don't really care. They're just trying to pitch something cheap. They're not going to find out a whole lot about the merchant. They're just going to rely on what appears to be the cheapest rate. In actuality, it's not. So if you come in, they go, man, that Dale guy, man, he's a good guy. I told him he knows my life story. He knows everything about me. That's who I want to do business with. If, God forbid, you needed heart surgery and there's a choice between two different heart surgeons, and if you went to a heart surgeon that says, hey, look, before we get into this real serious surgery, tell me about you. I want to know about you. Do you have any kids? Where are you from? What do you do for work? Or do you want to have a heart surgeon that comes in and goes, okay, that's what you need to have done. Okay, great. You're going under the knife tomorrow at 7 a.m.
Hello?
Who are you going to feel more comfortable with?
Yeah, I want the guy that knows a little bit about me and gives him a reason to live.
Yeah, it gives them a reason to save your ass if you flatline on the table, doesn't it? But a guy who doesn't ask anything about you, it's just a numbers game. And I doubt that would be the case, but I think we all understand the concepts, right?
Right.
You know what's funny about this, guys, is the concepts that we talk about here like this. I'll even get into a merchant about the same concepts. I go, man, so many people don't even build rapport anymore. It's all about this. And they go, oh, I know. And I go, oh, yeah, you're one of us. You see that too, don't you? Yeah. Everybody's all about. But people are like afraid that you can't be afraid to you got to air it out there. And what you'll find, you don't tell everybody, I never tell people, my life story, but I want to know all about theirs. So build that in there. Does that make sense, man?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, you and I have said before that it's like a seduction.
It is. It is like that's exactly what it is. And Cam and I have done a lot of deals together, and we've talked to probably 1,000 people together.
How about in front of me?
And it is
Hello?
a seduction. It's like a courtship, and you're seducing them into doing business with you. And
I'm sorry, James, I have unmuted you. Somebody had a question, Chuck. I'm sorry, I had him muted out.
Okay. Somebody else had a question?
No, I couldn't talk. I've been listening, but I couldn't say anything because I was muted.
Okay. All right, sorry about you. Must have had some background noise. Sorry, we try to keep the noise level down, so sorry about that.
Well, I came on a little late. I think that might be why. Sorry about that.
No worries. We're glad you made it. We've been talking a lot about rapport, and again, guys, and Cam hit it right on the head. It's a seduction thing, and we obviously mean that platonically, but of course this stuff works the other way too. So if you're out there and that's what you're into,
we cover a lot of ground here at First Financial.
That's right, darn it. But anyway.
Yeah, but it's all about communication, isn't it? It's communication. It's leading somebody where you want to go, and both scenarios apply.
Both scenarios apply. Yeah, we're thinking of the end result that you want and work backwards.
Hi, this is James. Can I say something real quick with that guy saying it was hard when he walks in somewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, one of the things that I had to do, and I'm just getting started. I have a full-time job, senior manager at another company, but I really wanted to start building something on my own. And one of the things that I found that were really helpful, and I got it out of the book that John wrote, but I started doing networking because I didn't have a warm market to build on. So that's what I've started trying to really build a warm market on. It's very hard just walking into a place and, get their statements, but if that's just some advice that you could try to do is look for some networking opportunities in your area, and you should, be able to be easy to build rapport that way.
You're right. You got to network. I mean, you got to become a networking. And you know what? And it's hard. I get it because we all have those days, and I get it. You ever have times you want to be just left alone? Yeah, that's fine. But when you're selling and you're on and you're communicating and you're networking and you're doing those things, that's where you're going to make your money. So you have to be on. You have to be open enough to really get in there and start building that rapport and start talking with people. And it's hard. I know. I mean, there's sometimes that I'll even do it. I go, oh, I got to start having a conversation with this person. Because it's not that I want to, but I know it's the right thing to do right now. And it's difficult, especially when there's a lot of things going on in your world. So work on it. I appreciate the input, everybody. Next week we haven't quite figured out what we're going to talk about yet, but that's fine. We'll see what this week brings. And oftentimes these calls come from, what we see shaking with you guys out there. We appreciate everybody being out there and hitting it. And, we're a little over halfway through the month. Now's the time. We really got to go pedal to the metal. Get the stuff on now so it gets finalized for you for the end of the month. So thank you, everybody, for coming. We'll see you next Monday, same time, same place.
Nope.
What?
Next week's Memorial Day.
Memorial Day. Sorry about that. All right. 2 weeks. Man, I told you I'm lost, Chad. I appreciate you got me there. So,
Chuck. Good morning. How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing, buddy?
I have Emilio here from Florida.
Emilio, wow, long time no hear, man.
Oh my God, the guy still remember me. How are you, man?
We could never forget you, man.
I just go ahead.
No, you're one of those guys that no one could ever forget.
Thank you for your guys, man. I think I really been out there with your guys' help, and I think I just sent my last 200 deal with your guys last night.
Excellent.
Hoping that they get approved. If they get approved, that my 200 deal that I promise you guys that I would give you. I think that it's been 6 years working hard with you guys, and it's been truly a blessing.
You know what? Likewise, man. I appreciate that, and you know what? Congratulations on your 200th deal. That's awesome. Nicely done.
Thank you.
That's fantastic.
That's good stuff. So, and you're in a tough market too, man. You're in Miami, so that's a tough market, and you've really stepped up and done a great job down there. So
it's very competitive market, and it's getting tougher, but we just can't throw the towel and give up. We just have to push every day.
Well, you know what, man? That's because you build really good rapport, so that's why it works so well for you.
Yes, sir.
That's it. So, all right, guys. Thank you again. We appreciate it. Good to hear from you again, Emilio.
Thank you.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. We'll see you here, and let's make some money in the meantime. How's that sound?
Great. Perfect.
Hey, Chad, give me a call when you can.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, will do.
Okay.